Hi there, sorry, a little bit behind today. In fact, I can't even find the Friday Live from the 5-level decision from last Friday, so I'm going to have to give you the answer to that next Friday. I didn't seem to save it from the last one. So anyway, let's get going, see how we get on. What have we got? Well, things are going haywire because I'm off to Portugal soon. I'm going on Friday, and I'm out there for a 1 week's bridge holiday. And then I've got the family coming out as well, which will be lovely. They're coming out halfway through that holiday, but then we're then taking a holiday, real holiday, a week after that. So I'm recording. We've got a relatively normal week this week. I say relatively because I'm going to do the Friday Live on the Thursday morning because I wanted to do it because I'm missing a lot of Fridays. So, excuse me. So I'm doing the Friday Live on the Thursday morning rather than the Friday morning of this week. And then I've got recordings of the Monday and Wednesday of the following week. And then I'm off on actual holiday for 10 days there. And then I get back, I do my Monday Live, I do the Monday team, seems a long way away now. And I've just recorded a Friday revision before the new Friday topic. So that seems a long-winded way of saying things, but let me explain what's going on then. As a whole, we are still in Greedover, so we are doing the best we can defending Partscores, and we'll look at that. I've got another excerpt from the big seminar. And then the Monday next, I've got some examples of Partscore hands, really tough. I mean, the Wednesday week, I've recorded a pairs game, and there's some interesting Partscores in there. It's a fundamental part of the Partscore, the pairs game. So many Partscores, and they make such a difference. The Friday Lives, eventually, when we come into November, they will move on to defending doubled contracts, but we're still finishing the negative doubles. We've got a few examples coming up this week on the Thursday. As I say, on the Thursday. However, what we've got now is the raffle. So let's see. We had a charity raffle for raising money for cancer research, and there are our winners. We have John Cobby, who gets a place on a UK event. Cherry Turner is winning the Q Plus software, and Meryl Davies has won the B&B hamper worth over £200. So some great prizes there. And we've raised over £1,000, obviously adding gift aid on as well. So that's exciting. So well done to the winners. Thank you for helping us raise money. We'll be carrying on those efforts throughout the year. Bridge has always been traditionally brilliant at raising money. I've seen a number of cafe bridge events carrying on the good work there as well. So well done to all the winners there. In terms of bridge events, well, obviously Portugal's the very first one that we're doing, which is there. Beyond that, we're going off to Tenerife, to Croatia, to Mallorca, and more to come. I've got my second one of next year to launch. We're still just putting the final touches to that, so bear with us on that. But we'll be launching one for autumn of next year. In fact, hopefully finalising that this week. And of course the cruises, etc. Plenty to do. All right, what am I going to do? Well, I haven't got a 5-level decision this week, as I say, because I couldn't find it. So I am going to we're going to go straight to the seminar. There we go. So we're defending Partscores at pairs, as I say, taking another excerpt from the seminar, the big seminar, and we said that it's all about trumps. I'm afraid it is. I can't really undo that. It is trumps, but it doesn't mean you leave them. It doesn't mean you do the same thing with them. It just means you have to think about them. That's what's so tricky. So let's have a look. You've got to listen to the auction. Now, some of them are very quick. One spade, two spades. Some of them are a bit more intricate, and Whenever there's whenever there's side suits, it's really important that you assess how easy or difficult you think the contract's going to be. What do I mean by that? Well, do you think the side suits are breaking well for Declarer? If they are, so if you think, for example, maybe Declarer's shown a 5-card suit, he's playing in a different suit, but he's shown a 5-card suit and you've got Queen Doubleton in that suit or Queen to 3, you're thinking, oh no, he's going to be able to finesse that. Well then, if you think he's going to be able to make tricks in that suit, drawing trumps is not going to be such good news for your side, because once Declarer's drawn trumps, he'll have lots of winners. Whereas if you've got a singleton in their long suit, partner's probably got great length, and they're going to struggle to develop it. Now they'll need to rough that suit, so they'll want their trumps left. So your holdings in the side suits are going to be really important with respect to whether you want to attack. Are their suits sitting nicely? And that's the question. So let me show you what I mean. 1 spade, 1 no trump, 2 hearts. So suddenly you've had some bidding here. Okay, you know that West is sitting 5-4 or something like that. What do you think about this auction? Now again, this does depend on your opponent's styles in some way, but quite a lot of us like to raise 1 spade to 2 spades when we've got a weak hand and a bit of distribution. So the fact that East has reverted to 2 spades a little bit late suggests that he's probably not got that many trumps, or he probably hasn't got shortage to go with trumps. So I mean, if I'm a 4-3-3-3 hand with 3 spades, I would bid 1 no trump first, but I'm not exactly going to be in the market for making roughs in my hand. Suddenly leading trumps is not so urgent. Okay, whereas if you think dummy has short trumps and a shortage, then you might want to lead trump. Let's try another one. 1 spade, 1 no trump, 2 diamonds, pass. That's interesting. That's an unusual auction, isn't it? They've chosen to play in diamonds rather than spades. Well, at this stage, very often East is going to have 3 or 4 diamonds, may well have 4, and will have short spades. What does that mean? Quite often it's a 4-4 fit though, because so often, even if you're 3 and 2, remember, you'd go back to spades. So I would feel, again, the inclination is you've got to be a bit careful leading trumps. Okay, it's going to depend on your holding. So what does that mean? Well, okay, so you've got King, Jack, 10, 9 of spades here. You know jolly well that West is going to need to do some roughing of those in dummy. In which case, maybe you'd attack trumps. Whereas if you had 4 small spades, you're thinking, West spades are going to become winners quite quickly. Does that make sense? So if you had 4 small spades, you're thinking maybe East has got a doubleton and 4 diamonds. You know, they're not going to need to rough them here. They're generally going to be winners very quickly. Okay, so a lot of your tactics are going to depend on how you think Declarer is going to need to play the contract. Is she going to need roughs, or is she often going to have a winning suit? So if you don't think she needs roughs, well, then you don't need to draw trumps. You can attack other things, maybe force Declarer to rough in the longer trump hand. Okay. So 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts. I think here East often will have 3-card heart support. Doesn't have to, of course. Could have some distribution, could have shortage in dummy. It's a fine line though, you're not quite sure, but you might tend to favour trumps here. It wouldn't be a huge surprise if East had 3 trumps and a shortage in dummy. But you can't be sure. This is what's so difficult. But sometimes it's important to make the decision before you see dummy. You'd love to be able to see dummy before you lead. So understanding whether or not you should be leading trumps is tricky. Again, it's going to depend here, I think, on your flavour of trumps. What kind of trumps are you holding? Could it be a frozen suit? We mentioned this last week. If you think it's a frozen suit, maybe a little bit wary. Again, here you're going to check your diamond holdings and your spade holdings. Are declarer's suits coming in? You're sitting over, remember, if you're on lead, you're north. So you're sitting over the diamonds. If you've got 3 little diamonds, yuck. If you've got king jack to 4 diamonds, oh, they're going to need to rough those. And that kind of thing. So understanding. I'm going to tell you what, let's look at that auction and see what we think. So there's the auction we just had. 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts. We've got a pretty horrible hand, as they say. However, we get an idea of what's happening before we even see dummy. East could have 5 spades. We know West has 4 diamonds. And I think the likelihood is, looking at my 2 holdings and spades and diamonds here, this is what's crucial. So we're going to look at another hand where it's going to be a different lead. Here, for me, diamonds are sitting well for declarer and spades seem to be sitting well for declarer. Now, you can't always be true. Dummy could put down jack to 5 spades or even jack to 4 spades. But a lot of the time your queen might be finessable in East's long suit. And the point is if West's got anything in diamonds, any finesse is going to work, because we're not going to beat anything, are we, with our diamonds? So let's say declarer's got ace queen of diamonds. Then we know either East has the king, in which case they're running, or South has the king, in which case it can be finessed. So I think things are sitting well for declarer. So I'm not attacking trumps here. Okay, because if I attack trumps, I think I make it easy for declarer. He'll draw trumps and that's the end of that. Whereas if I can force declarer to rough in the long trump, so I'm going to lead a side suit which hasn't been bid, the unbid suit. I don't know how much partner's got, but he's likely to be the strongest in clubs. So let's lead the 10 of clubs there. Okay. So let's contrast this with this hand. Okay, so the same auction. 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts. This time things are looking very different indeed, aren't they? You've got king jack X in diamonds. Now, you won't always have West with the ace queen to 4, but the chances are he's going to have to lose a diamond or 2 to you. He probably needs a rough in dummy. And the spades, well, West hasn't supported spades, so for me, the most likely layout of the spades is partner holding length. So maybe East has 5 and partner has 4. So once again, declarer is going to have to develop the suit, often by roughing. So I don't think the suits are sitting so well for declarer here, so here I would attack trumps. Does that make sense? So 2 very different situations, the same auction. One of which where I think if I draw trumps, it's going to make life more difficult for declarer. The other one, I actually want to force declarer. So let's look at the 2 hand layout. So here I'd lead a trump, probably lead a low one, and then hoping later on either of us to lead another trump and I can draw 3 rounds. And that's crucial here. If I can draw 3 rounds, that would be wonderful. So let's look at the first one. And as you can see here, as I say, these are from the big seminar. And as you can see on this one, everything sits so well for declarer. But of course, as defenders, we know that. Declarer doesn't know that yet. Declarer doesn't know that the diamond finesse is going to work here and the spade finesse is going to work. Okay. But I think it's going to be life is easy. If we, let's say we let a trump here, declarer wins and just carries on playing trumps, and eventually, actually, I mean, he might try a diamond finesse, but finesse is going to work. He might not need a rough there. And if we help him draw trumps, then maybe he'll be forced to take a spade finesse rather than try and rough it. And you can see that he can actually make 5 spades off the top and 3 diamonds off the top, as well as trumps if trumps are drawn. So instead of that, what we've done is we've led clubs. Okay, and by leading clubs and playing 3 rounds of clubs, we forced declarer to rough the 3rd round of clubs, and he's down to 4 hearts now. Things are not so nice now, are they? Maybe he tries to draw trumps, but we can duck a couple of rounds of trumps, and then he's got a difficult decision of how to play the contract, he's going to be in a nasty situation, and will have, as I say, a difficult decision to make after. Excuse me. Ooh. Okay, you've given him problems, whereas if we don't play clubs, if we don't force him to ruff, then I think he should have a simple time. What a difference though when we change those suits. What a difference it is here. Okay, it's a completely different kettle of fish, this hand. Now De Clercq is really going to struggle. I think what De Clercq is going to try and do here is finesse in diamonds. And if the finesse works, he can then ruff a diamond in dummy. The thing is, we know the finesse isn't working. So we lead a trump. De Clercq would probably win the 10 with the king. And I don't know what De Clercq does now. Maybe he plays ace, king of spades and takes a finesse of the queen of diamonds. But if he does that, that's it. Contract's all over. It's really nasty for De Clercq. Can you see that? Because we play ace and another trump. And De Clercq can't make a ruff, can't ruff a diamond. So I mean, maybe if De Clercq plays a small diamond to the queen and king, we play ace and another. Maybe if De Clercq plays a small diamond to the jack. No, it's horrible, isn't it? It's really horrible. I think De Clercq is going to have to settle for 7 tricks here. Just settle for 7 tricks. Just making 4 trumps, the ace, king of spades and the ace of diamonds. Isn't that nasty? Whereas if we don't play trumps, maybe De Clercq can get a ruff in dummy, and 1 ruff in dummy is the extra trick De Clercq is looking for. So listening to the auction is what we do quite often in these part score ones. Obviously we have to trust the opponents to do the right thing. Imagine the auction goes 1 spade, 1 no trump, 2 spades. So what do you think about this? Well, here we're expecting West to have 6 trumps. East could often have 2. There's no urgency to lead trumps here. There's no reason to think that dummy's going to come down with, let's say, a doubleton trump and a singleton somewhere else. Most of the time a trump lead's going to help De Clercq. Okay, he's got 6. He's going to draw trumps. You may well pick up partners holding or something like that. Okay. So bearing that in mind, there's no urgency. Doesn't mean we don't lead them. We might choose to, or it might be the safest lead, but there is no urgency to lead trumps. That's the key. So if you were dealt jack, 10, 9, 8 of spades, you'd probably lead a spade here to try and, you know, eventually draw De Clercq's trumps. Okay, but clearly if you had jack small or jack small small, you wouldn't really want to be leading them. You might help De Clercq pick up the suit. Okay. The last question you've got to ask yourself in trumps is, should we be ruffing ourselves? Okay, so there is a lot of questions to ask. Do we lead them? Do we not? What kind of trump fit does De Clercq have? This and that. The other thing you've got to bear in mind is that sometimes you may well want to look for a ruff, either because you've got singletons, that's more obvious, but doubletons. Should we be leading doubletons? If you're leading them, you only really want to be leading them if it's an unbid suit. Don't lead doubletons in the opponent's suit. You just help them set them up. Even if you get a ruff, you'll often help them. They'll have 3 winners, for example, after you've taken your ruff or something like that, or 2 winners. Okay, but switching to a doubleton can be a powerful play as well once you can see dummy. So let's look at our final hand here. So let's see the auction. It goes 1 heart. Remember, the green baize is the centre of the thing. We're sitting in the east seat. 1 heart, and it goes 1 spade. We're not bidding here. I know you've got 11 points, but we like to have quality suits to make bids. So it then goes 2 clubs we bid, and that will tell you what will have happened if you bid 2 clubs here. You would have, I'd have made you vulnerable. So 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 clubs. Nice auction. And as you can see, it's going to go 2 hearts from north. And that finishes that. So your partner's on lead, and your partner leads the 10 of spades. So your first job is to assess what you think the lead is. And I think the first thing here is that if South is weak and had 3 cards spade support, a lot of the time he might have just raised to 2 spades. Particularly if you had a singleton diamond, which would be implied here, because if he's got 5 hearts and 4 clubs, if you had 3 cards spade support, he'd have a singleton diamond, and that feels like quite a nice hand to be supporting to 2 spades on. So I'm not sure I'd place partner with short. Partner certainly won't have a singleton, because that would leave declare with 4, and even a doubleton seems less likely. I think partners may be choosing to lead from 10-9 through dummies suit. That would be my estimate here. So that's the first thing you have to do. So when it goes small and we win the jack, we've got to decide what we're going to do next. It doesn't make much sense to lead a spade left back anyway, because you've got the ace queen sitting over the king. So what do you do back? Do you lead trumps, or do you pursue a diamond trick? A diamond draft, sorry. And here it all depends on the quality of your clubs. If I'm honest, it's not so much the fact you've got the doubleton diamond here, but the quality of your clubs. Why do I say that? Well, imagine I had ace jack 10 to 5 clubs. I think Declare is going to need to rough clubs in dummy if I've got ace jack 10-9 or something like that. Declare will probably knock out my ace with one of the king or the queen, but he'll have 2 more clubs to get rid of. Looking at my clubs here, it's not going to surprise me if Declare has something like king queen 9 small of clubs, or king queen jack to 4 clubs. I don't think Declare is going to need to rough clubs here. So that's the difference here. My clubs are very small. So although I've got 5 of them, I think it's our job as a partnership to pursue a rough. Is it more likely that I'm going to get a diamond rough or partner gets a club rough? I would, given that partner can be over roughed, don't forget, so if partner's got a doubleton club, he will be over roughed in dummy. I think it makes sense for us to pursue the diamond roughed. So we've worked out what the lead, we think it's length. Do we draw trumps or do we aim for a rough? And as I say, it's not just the fact that we've got a doubleton diamond here. If singleton, you'd probably pursue it. With a doubleton, it's touch and go whether you should pursue it. It all depends on those clubs. Does Declare need roughs? I don't think he's likely to, so I aim for a rough. Okay, so here it turns out Declare is missing the ace and king of clubs, but he doesn't need any roughs, does he? And that's the crucial thing here. When he plays clubs, he's going to knock out our ace, he's going to knock out our king. He will have 2 winners, and that's because my clubs are so low. If I had the jack 10 or the 10-9 of clubs here, that's very different. Ace 10-9, you may be thinking he's going to need to rough clubs in some way, shape or form. Okay, so here we switch to the 7 of diamonds, and as long as we get our diamond rough, partner doesn't have to duck it. He can win the ace and lead another diamond. He's going to get the lead with the ace of trumps, isn't he? And then he can give us the rough then. Okay, so we will make 5 top tricks. The ace king of clubs, the ace of diamonds, the ace of hearts and the ace of spades. That's easy enough. Well, it was actually the jack of spades, but you know what I mean. And eventually we make a diamond rough. So as long as we switch, clearly here, if you switch to trumps, we can draw dummies trumps, but Declare doesn't need them. That's the problem. Does that make sense? So just because there's a shortage in dummy, bearing in mind it's been bid by Declare, it is your job to work out whether roughs are needed. So that it's hard, but every single part score is going to be different. So, you know, it's really, really tricky. Okay. And the key is, as we always know, you don't know what a good score is. Okay, when you start defending 2 hearts or 2 spades, very often they'll finish in 2 hearts plus 1. Maybe it's a flat board. If you keep them to 2 hearts, it feels like a boring board, but that can be a 90% score. 2 hearts scraping home instead of making an overtrick or even making 2 overtricks. So getting used to fighting. I mean, you know that when I tell you about the bidding, I want you to fight for the Partscores. 2 days, 2 years back in Greedover, that's what we were doing. We were bidding and putting blood on the table in the Partscore battle. It's so important. If you can't remember the seminar, I recommend you going back, because these Partscores make up so much of your score in these pairs hands, winning the part score battle. Remember, -50 being one of your favourite score. Every 10 points counts. I can't exaggerate that enough. Get your head around the scoring if you can. Okay, really try hard to give yourself a go. Maybe give yourself a test. Maybe we should have a simple test on the website every day. Ask you the score. That's maybe a thought. I'm going to think about that one. Just a little button that tests you every day, one part score. And you're not allowed to look it up on the back of a bidding card. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Yep, I'll think about that. Anyway, so that is the greed over. Now, the last thing, I better put that back up because I forgot about it. Greed is good. I forgot about the last thing coming up. Don't forget, greed is good. It is pairs, pairs, pairs. Every 10 points counts. Every trick counts. So when you see me play on a Wednesday, I'm playing teams most of the time. So therefore, I'm not so worried about the over tricks. The week, next week, so not this week, but next week, I have recorded a pairs game where every trick counts. I will be scouring for my over tricks. I'll be trying to make extra under tricks. I will be avoiding over tricks in those part score hands. So you'll have the opportunity to see that. And please, please to offer feedback on that. So don't forget, we've got Christmas coming up. I'm assuming I've got a Christmas slide here. Let me have a look. No, I don't. Okay, well, I've got a large array of the new year there by the look of it. January, February. Oh, I'm offered to 2 bridges in February. That's always lovely. So we've got a lovely range of events. We've got we're trying to look for new venues, so do look out for it. Obviously, I'm up in Alnwick coming up. That's in November. And we're going to Wales next year, which is exciting. And of course, I'm doing the first trip to Ireland at the beginning of November. So all sorts going on. As I say, this week is generally normal. I've got the Wednesday teams, as normal, that's a prize teams. I have my Friday live is on Thursday. That's the summary and summing up with examples of the negative doubles that we've been covering over 9 weeks. And then, of course, we'll be changing on. So enjoy Greed Over. Please do send hands in. I love to have them. I try to respond relatively quickly. Bear in mind that when I go away, it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, a quick reminder of the winners of our prize raffle, charity raffle. John Cobby, Cherry Turner and Mara Davies. Well done to you all. Okay. So what about our bidding quiz? Let's have a look. Here we go. So 1 diamond on your right, you double for takeout. Okay, which seems relatively normal. 2 diamonds double and then pass. So 1 diamond double, 2 diamonds double, pass. And it is your turn to bid. Nobody's vulnerable, so good luck with that one. Of course, you can get the answer on the website whether you're a member or not. Okay, and as I say, hopefully see you this week. We've got the prize winners on the Wednesday, and then things go a little bit different. Do look on the website. On the website, we send you, of course, a members or non-members email. So you'll see the various changes and what's going on in each week and whether I'm on holiday or not. Remember, there'll always be the quizzes, etc. coming up. Also wanted to keep you in mind for those members, the Declare Play quiz is going to be changing over the coming months and years, as it were. So I think it's mid-November it changes 281, and it's changing to is hopefully better. It's going to give you the chance to play it. So that's the Declare Play quiz, but we are going to be reissuing the 280 from before, so we'll go through them one at a time again, but this time you will have the opportunity to play the hand yourself. So you'll press a button and you'll be able to play it on the browser version of Q+, or for those of you who have Q+, you can actually upload the given hand. But you'll have a chance to practice. So it's all well and good guessing if you've made the plan correctly and then seeing if you have. Now you'll be able to play the hand and see if you've got it right. So hopefully you will enjoy that. So that'll be the changes to the Declare Play quiz coming up in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for your company. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you again soon.